Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. Got my little podcast in my ear that I invested in. I just put it together. So, welcome back. Welcome back with me, everybody. Welcome back with me. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Gotta make a theme song. I was just playing around just now. So, what I'm going to discuss briefly today is I made a list. We're going to discuss a little bit about personal year cycles. Um, how do you calculate your personal year cycle numerologically? What you do is you take the month and the day that you were born and you add it with the year that we're in. Hey, what's up? What's up, Dawn? What's up? Welcome. Nice to see you. Can everybody hear me? If you can hear me, can you press one? Um, so uh this is a new little set that I put together. I just want to make sure everyone could hear me. If you could hear me, please press one. Or you know what, press six. But yeah, we're gonna briefly discuss personal year cycles. So yeah, you can hear me. Thank you. Little investment on my behalf. I'm not the most tech savvy, but I am learning every day how to navigate this stuff better and better. Yes, for six. um, so personal year cycles, right? You take the month you were born, the day you were born, and you add it by the current year that we're in. And your personal year cycle really kicks in after your birthday. So if you're born in January, if you're born in February, if you're born in December, it kicks in after your birthday. So I just wrote down, jotted down just some general quick things depending on what personal year cycle you're in, just quick tips. So, if you're in a number one personal year cycle, what I jotted down was start new projects, new ideas, work on rooting yourself and self motivation and self care. If you're in a number one personal year cycle, one rules a lot of things. It rules self motivation, as I mentioned, it rules also. Uh, Individuality, originality, a lot of one cycles. Those are a lot of the cycles where you'll be like a trendsetter, where you will start things or initiate things, a lot of new beginnings in your number one cycle. So I'm gonna keep it simple, but these are just quick tips to remember. So, if you're in a personal year, 2 year cycle, work on working with other people, building partnerships, but practice discernment because two can also deal with, because of the polarity of two, it can also deal with a lot of trickiness and tricksters. So, you may have people during your number two cycle try to pull the wool over your eyes, so to speak. But that's also a number that deals with partnership, deals with relationships. You can get pregnant as a woman or impregnate someone as a man in a number two cycle. That's one of the pregnancy numbers and things like that. So be careful on those two cycles. Number three, if you're in a number three cycle, that's a cycle to speak your mind and be mindful of the things you say and how you say it, because that three energy can get your ass in trouble. That's a time where your mouth can get you in trouble. But you also want to make sure that you are using that throat chakra, that you are speaking your truth and expressing yourself, whether you're expressing yourself artistically, whether you're expressing yourself through fashion, through the way that you dress, the way that you do things. You want to make sure that you do that during the three cycle. That's also a time for great business promotion, great networking. And yeah, just a lot of creativity energy that will be happening when you're in your number three personal year. Also, number four personal year. Let's keep it going. That's a time for you to get organized, start planning your future goals, start planting those seeds to build a foundation for yourself for the next few years to come. Um, you definitely also want to take care of your health if you're in a number four cycle, because four is also one of the health numbers. So you want to make sure that you're taking general care of your health, drinking water on a daily basis, enough water. You know, the amount of water that you drink is also contingent upon um, body weight and different things of that nature. But you want to make sure that you're hydrated. You want to make sure that you're walking or doing exercise on a consistent basis, at least on a weekly basis, to keep your health together. Not eating too much junk food, balancing it out with healthier foods, raw, fresh fruits and vegetables. Number 5 cycle. That's a time to complete things that you start because you'll be in a very um, unsettled kind of energy. You may have so many interests and see so many things and everything is exciting in that moment, and then you drop it for something else exciting. So you want to make sure when you're in a 5 cycle, you're completing the things that you start. You want to work on focusing and discipline. um Allow spaces though for you to still be a social butterfly because you're going to crave freedom during your 5 cycle. That's a time where people are going to invite you to more social things. um you're going to be a little extra attractive, catching eyes when you're in that 5 cycle. It's also a good time for networking in business, just like the 3 cycle. So if you have anything that you're doing, that's a time to really promote yourself during those 5 and 3 cycles especially. If you're in the number six cycle, a lot of people enter into new partnerships and relationships when they're in their sixth cycle, their sixth personal year cycle. During the sixth personal year cycle, you may impregnate someone or get pregnant, just like in the 2 cycle. That's a time to really spend time with family, work on healing family wounds. That's a time to also work on healing. I put work on healing familiar wounds. I already said it before I read, right? But that's also a time to educate yourself on new things that you want to learn. In addition to that, that's also a time where you may want to go back to school or enter into an educational program because those are some of the things that the 6th cycle deals with. Also, be careful in the 6th cycle of upper respiratory congestion, nasal congestion, and things of that nature. When you're in the 2 cycle, you want to be careful of digestive issues. When you're in the 1 cycle, you want to be careful of issues with your eyes and how you see things from a spiritual sense and also a physical sense with your eyes. Number 7 cycle. When you're in the number 7 personal year cycle, you're going to want to spend a lot of time by yourself and be a loner. You're going to be very self reflective. Um, Take time to yourself, travel alone, reevaluate your values, your morals, and spiritual beliefs. Use your intuition and manifest. That number 7 cycle is one of those cycles, probably the most, if not one of the most um, cycles where your manifestation will be even stronger. Excuse me. 7 is connected with Piscean energy, that water energy. As we know, if you've been watching my channel, you know that I speak about water being a conduit and holding memory and being very powerful to use during manifestation of any type. So be mindful during the 7 cycle of your thoughts of yourself, your thoughts of others, and really work on a lot of inner work during that cycle. Be very self reflective. When you think of self reflection, as I mentioned, 7 is connected with Pisces. When you look at Pisces, Pisces is 2 fish swimming in opposite directions, they're reflections of each other. When you think of the Piscean energy, and also when you think of the Gemini energy, it's a kind of a self-reflective kind of energy. It's an interesting duality that I'll get into more in later videos, but I'm gonna keep it on task because I like to drift off. Um, but also, that's a time. The 7th cycle is the time also for lots of revelations. Lots of things will be uncovered, things that you've been wanting to know, or if there's anything during that cycle that you want to figure out or get to the bottom of, speak that manifestation out and just be patient with your manifestation, and things will be revealed to you during that time, especially. If you're in a number 8 cycle, that can be a great money making time. That's the time where that money you can capitalize a lot. 8 is connected with Capricorn energy. And Capricorn, as you may know, in astrology is known as the workaholic. It's that tough, durable, hard-working energy, but it's also the energy where businesses are born, CEOs are born, business owners, all of that stuff. So when you're in an 8 personal year cycle, all the hard work from the years that you've done before, you'll see it more come to fruition and pay off by the 8 cycle. Also, 8 is a karmic number. If you notice that it looks like an infinity symbol standing up, where it keeps on going, but what goes around comes back around. So you want to be mindful in your 8 cycle um, of things from your past coming back to haunt you, be it past lovers, be it past things that you've done that you may not be proud of. That may be the time that you reap the karmic debt of that. Also, in the 8th cycle, you can gain money fast, but you can also lose your money fast. So you got to be very mindful on how you do things, and you want to do things with integrity when it comes to business and money. In addition to that, let's see what I had because I kind of went a little off script, but you definitely want to take care of your health. 8 is another health cycle. So you want to make sure that you take care of your general overall health. Keep in mind the 8 and the 4 cycles are times where you can possibly be misdiagnosed if you go to a doctor or if you go to some type of physician or practitioner. So you may need to get second opinions, third opinions, fourth opinions, and so forth to try to make sure that you get diagnosed properly. Um, for example, I've known people who were diagnosed with what was it that they were diagnosed with in particular? They were diagnosed with something, but I can't remember the name of the ailment, but it was actually a thyroid condition. So, people get misdiagnosed all the time, but definitely when you're in those 4 and 8 cycles, you can definitely get misdiagnosed easily. That's also a time for you to become more disciplined and organized, budget, map your money out, like really plan it out during that 8 cycle. When you get in a 9 cycle, that's the time to let it out and release. But you have to balance. You can't unleash on everyone. You have to balance. When you're in that 9 cycle, that's a time where you're going to be shedding dead weight. You're going to be letting go of people and things that no longer serve you. That's a time where people may lose your life during the 8 and the 9 cycle. You may lose people. Also, what I mean by lose people is people around you may pass away. Or in the 8th cycle may not just pass away, but people who you may have long friendships that really don't serve you well anymore, or a long relationship that you're shedding during that 9 cycle. So you want to be mindful during the 9 personal year cycle. You also want to balance because the 9 cycle you can also it can also become a combative energy. So you want to make sure that you're not getting into arguments with people constantly, fights with people, but it's a time of feeling a sense of freedom and letting go because you're shedding the dead weight for a new beginning when you're in that 9 cycle. Um, you want to make sure to be bold and speak your truth, but don't go too far with it. You're going to be in that energy of feeling bold, not taking no more shit, wanting to speak your truth and express how you feel about things that you may have bottled up or held in for a long time. During that 9 cycle, you ain't with it no more. I know. So, you just want to definitely balance, like I mentioned, avoid fighting arguments. Also, avoid accidents with fire or burning yourself. During the 9 cycle, you can burn yourself while cooking. You might, you can be prone to accidents of fire. So you want to be very careful. 9 is a very feisty, fiery energy. It's connected with Leo. It's connected with quite a few, quite a few things that I believe that you won't necessarily find in numerology, but I found this in my own research. So But yeah, so let's go to the master numbers. There's different numerologists would identify different numbers as master numbers, but all numerology books, all numerologists that I've ever spoken to, all numerology books that I've ever read or looked at, all agree on these two master numbers, 11 and 22. So let's get into it. When you're in the 11th cycle, and master numbers, just for anyone who may not know, master numbers are higher vibrations of single digit numbers. So 11 is a higher vibration of 2 in numerology. It's like a magnified 2 energy. And 22 is a higher vibration of 4. It's a magnified 4 energy. So things that pertain to the 2 also apply to the number 11. Things that pertain to the 4 also apply to 22. But here are the quick notes that I wrote down to remember during those cycles. When you're in an 11 personal year cycle, that can be a very powerful and impactful time. It can be very heavily emotional, but your intuition will be very strong during that cycle. You may see a lot of angel numbers. You may see repetitive numbers during that time. You may also have very vivid dreams. Um, 11 is connected with Uranus energy. With the planet Uranus, it's also connected with Aquarian energy. It's also connected with quite a few things. So it's interesting. And 2 is connected with Cancerian energy. This is a magnified 2. And if you know anything about Cancerians, you know anything about the number 2, if you've been watching my videos, that deals with heavy intuition. It's a water number. 11 is a water number, but it's comprised of two fire numbers because one is a fire number. It's a time also of self reflection and things from the inside being mimicked on the outside. That's why it's the double numbers, right? You will have during the 11th cycle heightened sensitivity. You have to work on what I find is that during the 11th cycle, a lot of people have issues with second guessing themselves. You want to stop second guessing yourself so much because your intuition is very strong during the 11th cycle. Um, but because it's an 11 and it's a 2, and it's two numbers that look exactly alike, people struggle with discernment during that 11th cycle, discerning who's really a good friend for you, for example, or who's not, discerning whether you're in a healthy, happy relationship with who you're with or not. So those things are important during the 11th cycle, just exercising that level of discernment. Let's see if I had anything else. Jot it down. Stop second guessing yourself, and see things for what they are and not for what you want them to be. I say that because 11 also, because it's comprised of two ones, and one deals with the vision and two can deal with deception, because 11 is a heightened 2. I What I've come to the conclusion of is that when you're in an 11 cycle, you have to see things for what they are. You have to really look and assess things for what they are and not for what you want them to be. It's very important. That ties in with discernment. Let's go to 22. When you're in a 22 personal year cycle, that's a very powerful time to step into as well. Step into your power during that time and not fall victim to old toxic ways of thinking and counterproductive ways of thinking, because the 22 is connected with 4 because it's a heightened, and 4 can also deal with mental health issues. It can deal with depression, it can deal with anxiety, it can deal with all different types of forms of mental illness. Not saying that you have mental illness per se, but it can play in your mind. 4 is a very mental energy. It's an air number. And if you know anything about air signs are considered in Western astrology the intellectuals. So when you're dealing with something like a 22, it's a heightened 4 energy. It's a very strong air number, but it's comprised of water numbers, of two twos. And water numbers are very, very sensitive. So you're dealing with all of this energy. You're dealing with the sensitivity as well as the constant thinking and mental energy. So you want to be mindful when you're in a 22 cycle to stay on the higher frequency of that number. um, and to build and create things that are masterful. You may have a lot of visionary ideas. That's another number that deals with Aquarian energy, that 22. And Aquarians also in astrology are known, in Western astrology likes to deem them also as intellectuals. I made a video about my perception and my theory on the air and the air signs being the intellectuals of the zodiac. You guys can check it out on my channel another time. But uh, so you want to not fall victim to old toxic ways of thinking when you're in that 22 cycle, because those things can sink you into a deep depression. It can sink you into self-destruction, and you want to be mindful of that. Now, this is the time when you're in the 22 cycle to bring your dreams to fruition. Don't second guess yourself, because that's another thing that can happen with that 22 cycle. Those double numbers, you can second guess what you're feeling. People in the 22 personal year cycle or in a 4 personal year cycle see things before they occur. They see things ahead of their time, not necessarily always in the sense of dreams or things like that. Sorry, my phone going off. And it may come as that as well, but not necessarily in the sense of dreams, but in the sense of putting things together, because it's such a mental energy. They calculate and they see the eye, the dot the i's and cross the t's. They see the details of a lot of things. They pay attention to a lot of details, typically like an Aquarian does, or many Aquarians do. And so you'll see things or calculate things before they happen, and people won't really get it. And that's a lonely place to be, because everyone's not seeing what you see. So it's like, damn, nobody's seeing what I see. Am I bugging? That comes there, then that's where the second guessing of yourself may come in. So you want to be mindful of that. Just keep on pushing with the vision and with the things that you things that you know. I think there's also a level of heavy intuition and intuitive energy that comes in that 22 cycle, because remember, it's a 4 comprised of 2 twos, and 2 is another intuitive number, but you have it twice. You see what I'm saying? I hope I'm breaking this down for everyone well. If you guys are confused, please feel free to comment, ask me to go over something or break something down a little more if necessary. Um, but let me keep going. Don't second guess yourself, your talents, or your abilities. During the 22 cycle, you want to make sure you drink lots of water, trust the vision you have in your mind, and create, because it can become masterful at building during that time, at building foundations. 4 deals with building a foundation, and it's a heightened 4. So you can build things masterful during that 22 cycle. And I wrote also, you have in your mind, oh, trust the vision you have in your mind and create. People may not get it, yet they will over time. Yes, that's what I pretty much touched on. So you guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope this was informative. Please feel free to comment on my video, share it, like, subscribe. Thank you for the love. Thank you for listening to me and listening to what I have to say. If there's any video ideas that you guys want me to do, please let me know what you guys want to know. As you guys already know, I touch on quite a few things, but my main thing is the numerology, but I go into other things because I can do other things. I go heavily into the astrology, even though I am not an astrologer, but I've been studying numerology and astrology since 15 years old, just out of my own curiosity and just being my old soul, weird type of self that I've always been. So thank you guys for listening. Thank you for your attention. I appreciate you all. Much love to y'all. I'll probably be making a couple of more videos tonight if I have time. Thank you. Peace.